let's talk hitters real quick. You got the heat sheet together. Who you want to hit on first?
Yeah, let's start with we can start with Ronnie Mauricio if you want. So Mauricio, like we already talked about in the top 100, he was number 100. 21 games entering Monday's off day. He's hitting 350, 14 extra bases or extra base hits, 16 driven in, a 1083 OPS. He's second in minor league baseball in total bases, only behind Joe Adele of the Salt Lake Bees. So Joe Adele, Ronnie Mauricio, deep cuts, but like this Mauricio thing isn't going away, man. It's kind of crazy.
He's hitting the ball, man, really hard, really hard. The number one thing I'm looking at is swing rate. It's high. It's not as high. So that is the good news. He's swinging at about a 48% clip this year. Last year was at about a 55% clip. I want him to swing less and less. He is not missing fastballs. He's got almost a 97% zone contact against fastballs. So
holy
he's
smokes,
pummeling them. That's why he's also swinging a lot, because he's making a lot of contact. So he's got a lot of confidence there. If he can just keep the swing rate down, which we keep talking about, he could be in really good shape. The chase rate is down a few percent. It's worth noting. He's hitting the living crap out of the ball, and he's making as much contact as ever. I don't think he's going to hit 350 all year, but this guy is definitely showing that he is a little different than the Ronnie Mauricio that had frustrated us over the last couple of years. And look, he's not slowing down, really. You mentioned three hits on Saturday, another hit on Sunday. And he's hitting the crap out of the ball. He's hitting it hard.
So I appreciated a note that our managing editor at justbaseball.com, Ryan Finkelstein, put out because he's starting to play positions other than shortstop. And he said it was a great point. And I don't know if it was like, Fink's point originally or if it was somebody else's. But he said, we knew the moment that Ronnie Mauricio factored in the Mets' future plans was when he would start to move around from shortstop. When he was only playing shortstop, that's when you view him as trade chip because Francisco Lindor is there for the next decade. But when he starts to move around, when he starts to play the outfield, when he starts to play third, that's when you know that they're maybe looking for spots to get him in the lineup. They're starting to do that now with him in Syracuse, which is really cool.
He played almost exclusively third base in the Dominican Winter League. And then you look at where he's played almost exclusively shortstop, to your point, in his entire professional career. Last 3 games, second base. Yeah. So obviously they have Jeff McNeil, but they move McNeil around. I think they just want to see, hey, can we play Mauricio in a few different spots? If he's able to do that, that's just good to know. I still don't know how he fits in. We'd have to do a whole segment figuring out the Mets roster construction situation, but it is a good point that if he's playing second base after showing the strides he's made it short, this is obviously them trying to see if there's other ways that the puzzle piece can fit if needed. Now, God forbid, if McNeil or Lindor gets hurt, you got someone that can play either. And also you have a guy that if you bring him up down the stretch for the postseason or, just to help bolster the bench, that you can put him in multiple spots too. So yeah, it is good news on the Ronnie Mauricio front. And again, he's just 22.
Yeah, for sure. Also curious how the Mets deal with his teammate in Syracuse right now, Mark Vientos. And like Vientos, everybody knows, he's a big league ready bat. 19 games so far. The guy's hitting 370 with 6 homers. He's got an 1163 OPS. It's just a waiting game for Vientos at this point. Unfortunately, his spot is not at first with Pete Alonso. It's not at third with Beatty. And I mean, the Beatty Escobar platoon right now. But Mark Vientos is a Major League Baseball player. And I think he should probably be a major leaguer on another team.
I think this is one of the number one trade bait guys. Mauricio passes him with his defensive ability now. I think they're pretty similar bat wise. I like Vientos' ability to get into his game power with the way he lifts the ball, but he's going to swing and miss. He's going to strike out like that. That, but he's a guy that's going to hit a lot and deserves an opportunity elsewhere. He's going to hit for a lot of power. So I want to see him playing every day. What's interesting is he's still getting a lot of reps at third. And I think between first and third, there's a lot of teams out there that would happily take Vientos in a package for a reliever or somebody else that, as the Mets go to look to make trades at the deadline, they don't need to trade Beatty. They don't need to trade Alvarez. They don't need to trade Mauricio. I think they could trade Vientos and a few other pieces and go get somebody. But Vientos simply is playing his way out of Syracuse, which is great. And I hope he keeps doing this. And I hope he kind of forces the Mets hand to either promote him, which there isn't really a spot, or trade him which I could see them doing as they, could probably use some bullpen help down the line. I could see a Vientos for a pretty good reliever happening pretty early into the deadline, trade talk time. And that's a good trade chip. And I hope for Mark's sake, I think he'd be happy to get moved because at this point he has nothing left to prove in AAA.
For sure. I like the way you worded that, getting his way out of Syracuse, like one way or another, he's getting out of Syracuse, New York. And we know that's a place that, it's not the worst thing in the world to get moved out of Syracuse.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm sure he's had enough of Syracuse. I will say one note too, already 2 home runs, 111 miles an hour this year from Vientos. It's plus power.
Yes, big time. This guy has like no prospect intrigue, but I know he's one of your favorites. Trey Cabbage in the Angels system. Cabbage was a Minnesota Twins farmhand for a minute. I met Cabbage when he was in high A in 2021. He was hitting the crap out of the ball to open 22. And then he broke his wrist, right?
Yeah, it was a nasty one, man.
Yeah, it was bad.
Thank goodness he's back. And he went to catch a ball, foul tear, up the line. Gerard Encarnacion, which you know how big that dude is, full speed into his arm, compound fracture. It was rough.
But the good news is that didn't sap his power. He comes back 18 games, 11 extra base hits, hitting 380 with an OPS flirting with 1,200. Trey Cabbage is the king of the exit velo.
You say non-prospect, like technically he is a non-prospect because he's 26. I would take this guy. I would trade for him in a lot of different circumstances. Like this dude is a big league guy.
Do you think Trey Cabbage would start in left field for the Atlanta Braves tomorrow?
So his defense is the biggest problem. That's like he's first base really at this point, and that's the unfortunate part. Like he's really bad in the outfield, which is crazy because he actually moves way better than you'd think. I posted a double of his, and he's moving, but he's just not good in the outfield. This dude is the king of the exit velocity. And I think if Jared Walsh has a setback or there's something up with Walsh, I believe that Trey Cabbage will play meaningful games for the LA Angels this year at first base. I really do. It depends on how Jared Walsh progresses, but I think he might even be a better option than Walsh. This dude has kind of figured it out. He's not walking as much as you'd like to see, but he's not whiffing. He's whiffing way less than we've ever seen Trey Cabbage whiff. We always knew the power was off the charts. He's already hit a home run this year, 487 feet. I know he plays on the moon, but 487 feet. Last year, he hit a ball 121 miles an hour. 121. That would have been one of the highest in all of professional baseball. That's one of the highest in the StatCast era. He has 80 power, and he's starting to hit semi-consistently. I think he could be a better option than Jared Walsh, and we're seeing that this year. It is silly power. He's already put up tons of 115s, 116s, 117s. His 90th percentile exit velocity is 110 miles an hour.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think about how much fun Angels games can be to watch. And, losing O'Hoppe sucks. I loved watching O'Hoppe, especially with Neto in the lineup too. These Angels lineups that they were pumping out were genuinely intriguing. And I'm thinking about replacing whoever the hell's at first base with Trey Cabbage. And I'm like, okay, sign me up. I'm pretty in on this.
Yep. And I think, you platoon with Urshela. I think that could be really fun. He hits the crap out of the ball. I have a couple names, and then if you have a couple others, we can circle back too. But I wanted to mention before I forget, good story alert. Heston Kjerstad might be here, man. He looks good. Top 100 good. Kjerstad, 24. We know the story of myocarditis, delayed start to his professional career, really. Did well in the Arizona Fall League. I was a little nervous because there's moving parts. There was a little bit more whiff when he was dominating through the lower levels when he returned last year. Yeah. But now he seems to have synced those moves up well. His body looks really under control. There's definitely some swing and miss and still some volatility to his offensive profile, but he's hitting the crap out of the ball. The swing looks good, and the strikeout rate's been kept in check so far. He's in Double-A. If there was major whiff issues, I think they'd start to make themselves, apparent. He looks pretty darn good, man, and I think the swing looks very solid. Kjerstad's a name to watch that I think could really kind of remind everybody, oh yeah, hey, I'm that top 5 pick. I can still really swing it. And it seems like he's starting to show us that.
Well, you know what's interesting about the Orioles situation is like they are fully hitting a backlog, but Kjerstad is one of those guys that has enough talent to surpass the backlog. Like I think Cowser, whenever Cowser is truly ready, he's going to be a Baltimore Oriole. Like there's nothing blocking Cowser, but there's obviously something blocking Kyle Stowers, and that's why Kyle Stowers is in Norfolk and is a trade candidate. Kjerstad, I think, is closer to Cowser than he is to Kyle Stowers, and I think people forgot that.
Yes, exactly. Because if it all clicks for Kjerstad, it's 35 homers.
It's second overall pick. Like it's what you drafted.
Correct. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. And I think the performance of Kjerstad, I tweeted about Stowers actually last night, who homered and looks great overall. Stowers got to be traded. You replied to me and said like, hey, Aram, don't you think he's a great option for the Braves? Yes, I do. And when you have the depth organizationally like this, you can feel a little bit better about trading a Stowers because, to your point, Kjerstad might not be far behind. He might be in triple by the time we get to the midway point of this season.
For sure. Who else you got? I got a couple more.
I got one more, and I want you to tell me when it's too early to start cashing in the victory lap on Colt Keith. Because not only is Colt Keith the best prospect in this Tiger system, in my opinion, I think he might be one of the more exciting, up and coming offensive prospects in baseball. Keith is hitting 356, 418, 576 through his 67 AA plate appearances. Has a big walk-off home run already. Let me tell you what he's done over the last, what is it? Holy crap. His last handful of games have been outrageous as he's settled into AA, but also I think he's hit safely in every single game this year. Over his last 5 games, 12 for 19 with 2 home runs and 7 strikeouts. So 7 strikeouts and 22 plate appearances, but 12 for 19 is insane. It's absolutely insane. Also has a pair of walks there too. He's hitting the ball hard, he's hitting the ball a lot, and he's 21 in AA.
Maybe a little too early right now.
Not taking it yet.
So not taking it yet. If Colt Keith is doing this on May 10th, I'll let you cash in.
Okay.
2 weeks.
He's hit safely in every single game except for one. Actually, yeah, except for one where he still reached base safely on a walk and drove in a run. So this guy's been productive in every single game. Keith with the Tigers, left-handed hitter, third base defense is getting better. That's the one question. But dude, he's got juice. 105 mile per hour, 90th percentile, making plenty of contact, not chasing. I'm so excited about this dude. I've been picking up his cards in droves as well for transparency, but that's my last hitter I wanted to highlight.
Got you. Yeah, no, a little too early to cash in on Colt Keith right now, but I will hear it in mid-May, I think. Give me 2 more series, and if he does get, a bump to triple in June, I think that'd be freaking awesome. Evan Carter is a guy that I want to highlight. 12 games, he's hitting 380 with an 1125 OPS. I don't know much about the injury that he sustained, so I have no idea if there was an official diagnosis.
I don't think it's bad, but I don't want to speculate. I'm pretty sure he should be fine. He
Gotcha.
got hit with a pitch up in the arm for those who may have missed that. He came out of the game, I think shortly after. I don't think he immediately came out either. I think he's fine.
Yeah, I'm looking at game logs. I mean, he played on the 20th. I think that's when he got hit. Yeah, he hasn't played since, as long as there's not a serious IL stint. I mean, this guy was kicking ass in AA at 20 years old.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, there's a reason why he's the number 11 prospect for just baseball. And I know we're not at that point in the top 100 list, but I assume that anyone who listens to this podcast by now just already went and looked at the whole list.
Correct.
There's a reason why he's there. It's high floor, high ceiling. Anytime I get a rare high floor, high ceiling center fielder, I am in. I think we're seeing both of which on display through the start of the year. You talk about the numbers. How about the fact that he's walking more than he strikes out? Only 9% swinging strike rate, which is elite. I mean, he's not even fouling balls off that much. He's hitting the ball pretty hard. And I still think there's more power on the way. Approach is great. Bat to ball is great. More power on the way. What is there not to like about Evan Carter?
I don't know. And he looks like the best player on the field too. Like he's tall, but he's built. He just looks like a 24-year-old that is actually 20. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's easy to fall in love with Evan Carter. By the way, his cards are going up big time. I'm seeing people start to jump on the bandwagon there.
I'm sure, man. And like they could use Carter, if he doesn't miss much time and he's really good, like that could be one of those double to the bigs type guys.
That's their center. 100% is the exact candidate that can make the leap, and a guy that isn't really blocked. They don't really have a true center fielder for the foreseeable future.
Are we going to say it? This year's Michael Harris could be Evan Carter.
If he's not as hurt as we think and, shows out for another month, the Rangers are another team that is that aggressive, that wants to win now. I wouldn't surprise me whatsoever.
Didn't they do the double to the bigs jump for Ezekiel Duran?
I think so. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. And this is a much more talented player than Ezekiel, who I love. I love Duran. I still think he's a good player. He's actually after a pretty good start this year, but definitely a better option. Anyone else?
Yes. One more. And so one guy on his own and then two others combined. I'll save that discussion for the end. Jackson Holliday just got the bump to high A Aberdeen, 13 games in Delmarva at the low A level, sitting 392, 9 extra base hits, 14 walks, 12 Ks, a 1200 OPS. Holliday flat out earned that promotion in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, I got a question for you. So he was in, what's it called? DeMartha? Is that where he was?
Delmarva.
Is that place a bandbox?
I don't think so. Like I think
I don't want to take anything away from Jackson, but those 2 home runs were not
backside. I think they happened in Fredericksburg.
Did they happen in Frederick? Is that a bandbox?
I don't think so. And like
95 off the bat, 350 feet. That one got out. And then 96 off the bat, 347 feet. That got
fake homers.
But I'm going to not be an asshole for a sec. 2 really good swings. Backside to your point. People asked why I had Holliday ahead of Drew Jones. Really was just the swing. Yeah. And that was more of a question last year. Like right after the draft. It's simply the swing. Tools wise, Jones might have him beat. Although Holliday's got good tools. Yeah. But swing wise, this guy's swing is so advanced. His approach is so advanced. He doesn't chase. He makes tons of contact. It's silky smooth. He's got a little bit of this front side leak, which I think is why, we see the exit velocity is a little bit down the other way, but the bat lives in the zone for so long. He generates so much bat speed that even when it drags a little bit, he's able to generate that kind of 350-foot carry the other way. He's just a really, really talented hitter, and the rest of the game is going to continue to come together. Holliday's a perfect candidate to fly through the minors quickly with his advanced approach and his feel to hit. Got to get the ball in the air a bit more. Got to iron out the lower half. Those are little nitpicky things that'll help him tap into more power. But this guy was the 1-1 pick and looks like the 1-1 pick in the early going as 19-year-old.
And he's got to look older, man. He still looks 15 years old. It's crazy. Like he puts on these uniforms and it feels like classes on a field trip and they pick a lucky kid to put the uniform on.
Yeah, he looks like he's playing for a scout team. It's exactly what it looks like. So yeah, no doubt. But that's gonna happen, and as that happens, he's probably gonna fill out physically too, and be a little bit more imposing. So
for sure. Last one is the Dodgers situation, and the Dodgers situation we've talked about a little bit on the Just Baseball show. Mookie Betts has played some shortstop. Where do they go at shortstop? Like Luke Williams might play some short for them right now. Yorbit Vivas has never played short pretty much in his professional career, but in 15 games in AA, Vivas is hitting 400. A guy that he's always been in lockstep with when it comes to prospect rankings within the Dodger organization is Adis Leonard. And those two have been kind of together level by level. And Leonard in double is playing shortstop, and in 13 games, he's hitting a $120 with no extra base hits.
Yeah.
So I guess my question to you, like, it's not, hey, is Leonard going to bounce back or is Vivas this good? Because I both think there's somewhere in between, but I do think that Vivas has far surpassed Adis Leonard at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Vivas plays second and third. He almost splits his time evenly between second and third. I think he's played a bit more second this year. Do you just throw him at shortstop, see if it works?
I don't think so. I think it would be a disaster. I
But like
really do.
you've got a bunch of true second basemen, man, like Michael Bush,
I
true
know.
second base, Vivas, true second base. It's
It
tough.
sucks because Vivas is like really putting it together offensively. Had a 2 home run game yesterday. I think now 4 straight multi-hit games. His arm has always been a little too short for shortstop, and his range is just not great. I did the dive when he brought up the topic yesterday, and just the range doesn't look great to me. He looks like a bat first second baseman who you can also play at third. I don't know if that's the answer. And Leonard isn't even a great defender to begin with and is not hitting well at all. That's not an answer. It's interesting how a team, an organization that always has this embarrassment of riches doesn't really have a shortstop option anywhere near. Vivas looks great. If it ain't broke, don't fix it with him. Don't let a big league issue trickle down and impact the development of a guy that you'd be throwing a Hail Mary, I think, to get anything from him at shortstop at the big league level while hitting. They've got nobody, to your point. I'm glad you highlighted it because like I think Leonard is falling quickly from prospect relevancy. Vivas is solidifying himself as like that second base bat first guy. They don't really have anybody that they can really throw into the fire there. It's a tough spot to be. I feel like they've got to make a move. And I'm very interested to see what that move may be, or if they just keep Mookie at short. But do you want to risk hurting your arguably best asset there by playing him a ton at a position that he's not used to? He's good at, but that's more strain on your arm, more strain on other muscles. Like, I think that's a little crazy. They're in a weird spot.
Yeah, the Dodgers knew something that I didn't. There was a guy that I really liked in their system, 23 years old from Venezuela, Leonel Valera. Valera was a guy that was kind of climbing, like spent 19 in low A, 2021 in high A, 22 for the most part. He was in double, and he was an 840 OPS guy in double. They non-tendered him, which was super weird. Like he wasn't even 40-man eligible, I don't think, and they non-tendered him. So the Nats signed him as a minor league free agent. Here through 13 games, he's hitting 118. So they knew something about Valera that like I didn't. I thought Valera could be the fireman shortstop, but now it's Luke Williams. And I don't know. I think that a minor league deal, or I guess like a major league minimum deal for Jose Iglesias, makes a lot of sense for the Dodgers at this point. Yeah. I just needed to ask you, like, is Vivas worth it? Because they have no shortstop prospect right now, it seems.
It sounds backwards, but almost how good Vivas looks. And remember, it's kind of funny how they traded, maybe the only other upper minors prospect. Amaya can play shortstop, but they did that because they got somebody that's a proven big league shortstop, which made sense. They didn't move Vivas because Vivas is the better prospect. But I wonder if you could do it over again if they would have maybe traded somebody else, because they now need another shortstop. And I don't think they figured that, Rojas would get hurt. I think they had to factor that in, though. Like, it's surprising to me because I know that they'd rather clutch on to Vivas, the better prospect, who is off to an unbelievable offensive start and is just a really good, safe bat. But now you traded your only other upper minor shortstop in Amaya, and now their hands are tied. Ultimately, it was the best use of their assets, protecting the better player in Vivas, but here they are, and they're in a tough spot. So it should be fun to see how they get out of it, because they're the Dodgers and they always do.
For sure.